On this week's Battlefield Recon, the tragic, murderous repair robot. In this week's Battlefield Moments, how to buy current gen Battlefield 4 and upgrade to next gen for only £10 or $10. In our analysis section, how Battlefield's story is the most cinematic of the series yet. Hello, welcome to this week's Battlefield Recon. I'm your host Dan Dawkins and I'm joined by Battlefield expert Andy Hartup.
Hello.
Okay, now we go straight into our moments of the week, top 5 moments, the first of which is a very sad tale of a latter-day Edward Scissorhands, a repair robot whose healing touch is deadly to humans. And bizarrely, that's not the weird bit in this very first clip.
I love this one actually. It's by a Scottish guy called Norrie, and he's famous for trolling all these snipers who just sit and camp up on top of this roof. Here he is, he's having a little bit of fun with them with the repair bot. There's 3 of them here. I won't give the ending away, but you can bet none of them actually notice until it's a bit too late.
The ending's right at a left field.
There's fewer, more humiliating ways to kill someone than that.
In our second clip, there's fast reactions, there's lightning quick reactions, and then there's this guy. Our third clip is a valiant attempt to recreate the infamous car park scene from Anchorman.
Now, you'd have thought one of these guys would have brought a gun to a knife fight. At least one of them.
Well, they're wearing the guns, Andy. Literally wearing them. This is obviously a stage scene, right? But
yeah, it's staged, but it's good fun.
It's a hell of a lot of good fun.
A lot of stabbing.
Our fourth clip is a harrowing morality tale in that you don't always get what you want, even if you've sniped a jet running at full speed.
I think this clip's evidence that you don't always get what you deserve as well, because this is a nice piece of skill. But, as we're about to see, yep, he dies anyway.
Flamey exhaust death. Our final and fifth clip today shows there's no benefit in shooting a jet if he wants to crash.
Yeah, this is almost like the polar opposite of the other clip, because, you know, the other guy had the nous to shoot the guy out of the air with a sniper rifle, impressive bit of skill, and this is pretty much the opposite. Bonk! Distinct lack of skill there.
In today's news section, we're saving you money indirectly by talking about how you can buy the current gen version of Battlefield 4 and upgrade to the next gen version on PS4 or Xbox One for a mere £10 British or $10 American. Andy, how does this work?
Well, it works. It's really easy actually. A lot of people have been thinking about holding off getting the current gen versions of the game because obviously the next gen ones are so shiny. But this is an offer that you buy your copy of Battlefield 4 on Xbox 360 or PS3, whichever your choice is, and it comes with a code which you will be able to enter into your PS4 or Xbox One, whichever you upgrade to, and you can just download the game, and it'll cost you £10.
How long would I have to wait? Like, what am I paying that $10 for? Like, am I winning 2 weeks by buying the current gen versions early, or is it a little bit longer?
You are winning actually, because all your stats, your progression and everything like that transfers over, providing I think it's on the same format. So
right.
It's got to be Xbox 360 to Xbox One or PS3 to PS4. All your stats and progression will carry over. So essentially you're getting like a 2-week or 3-week head start.
Oh, that's a really nice scheme. That's good.
Sorry, go on. £10 not too bad, because I think, you know, next gen games are going to be fairly expensive, whereas you might be able to pick up the current gen version a little bit cheaper. So you're probably paying as much as you would just for a full next gen version anyway.
One more thing to say is that the PS4 version of Battlefield 4 was shown running for the first time at Tokyo Game Show. And there's not much to say about it apart from the fact that it looked really good. Yeah,
it's shaky cam footage, and I think the headline circulating around it was there wasn't much to criticise. So, you know, technically it was holding up incredibly well and looked as good as like a high-end PC version running at 60 frames a second. Just really solid. So, I mean, that's good. That's what we were expecting.
Well, that's good news. Let's move to more good news in our analysis section as we talk about how perhaps the perennial bugbear of the Battlefield series has perhaps been the disconnect between the single-player game and the online game, both in terms of sort of visual consistency and different factors to do with the story and the linking. So it seems like this time around they're really making a concerted effort to make the story part of Battlefield work. Like what's changing in it, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, anyone who played Battlefield 3, I personally enjoyed the story in Battlefield 3, but it was so disconnected from the multiplayer. Like the information on screen wasn't the same. You know, you were doing very, very different things. They were just two separate games. It didn't feel like if you played the single player, you'd be in any way prepared for the multiplayer. Whereas in 4, the two are much, much closer linked. So, you know, for example, you've got sort of you spotting where you spot enemies for your teammates, and in the single player they'll just automatically suppress the enemy or flank them or whatever you tell them to do. And that's the same thing as you're doing in the multiplayer. If you spot an enemy, you're instructing your teammates to go and kill that person, etc. So there's no disconnect between the two, which is really, really important.
Oh, that's nice. And I think there's a big focus now on, again, perhaps sometimes the series hasn't felt like it's personality packed or it's linked to characters, but they've really pushed on, you know, creating unique individuals. And again, they've got some good voice talent this time around.
They have, yeah. I think the voice talent that they've got, we only really know about Michael Kenneth Williams, who is Omar from The Wire.
Right.
He's voicing Irish, which is one of your squad members. I think this sort of feels a little bit more going back to the not funny but sort of quite bantery nature of the Bad Company games, the Bad Company single player, specifically the first one, where you felt like, you know, your team were sort of hard men, but they were joking around a little bit. So it was quite light-hearted. And you know, watching through the they've shown 2 single player videos and a bit more in the first one. You know, there's little bits of humour there. So when your squad leader Dunn gets his leg crushed underneath the building,
Hilarious.
Yeah, hilarious. They're turning to the team medic pack and he's saying, you know, you should know he's not dead. You know, he's just knocked out. And he's saying, oh, my medical training was only like 3 hours or something like that. So it's not hilarious. It's never going to be hilarious. But you know, there's touches of humour in there, in amongst, you know, what is quite a serious political plot.
Now, again, you talked about the plot. What is the overarching sort of story, the background to it?
Okay, well, the fishing in Baku video serves as the prelude to the game, and the developers, when I was speaking to them, said that it was their sort of James Bond prelude. You know, that little bit before the da-da-da bit.
Yeah.
So what's happening is it's set in 2020, and you are playing as Wrecker, who is in a squad called Tombstone, and their job is basically no pressure, but to prevent World War III from happening between
I'd expect
you and the
no
US,
less
Russia, and China.
in a game of this magnitude.
Yeah. So there's all sorts of mysterious stuff going on, and they haven't really gone into big details about the plot. What we know is like the US and Russian fleets are sort of facing off a bit like the Cuban Missile Crisis near the coast of China, and one of the US flagships is sunk, and the rest of the story is finding out why and who's sunk it, who's allied with who. At the end of the Fishing in Baku trailer, there's a sort of mysterious little snippet of text where there's 2 shadowy men from the US government talking about how Russia have allied with Admiral Chang or Chen or something like that. I couldn't quite sort of disseminate. So what I think is that obviously America and Russia are really sort of on the brink of war, and I think there's probably a militant leader in China or a militant member of the Chinese military who wants war between the two countries, and so he's secretly attacking the US, using the Russians to attack them to sort of provoke them to war, whereas China officially wouldn't want them to go to war.
Sneaky devils.
That's what I think.
One last question. For the uninitiated who haven't played the Battlefield series to date, is there like a consistent thread of characters or a narrative that carries through the games, or are they all like capsules?
No, they're pretty much capsules. Obviously, Bad Company and Bad Company 2 had many similarities, but this really, as far as we know, this is nothing to do with Battlefield 3, which would be the game it's technically a sequel to. One interesting thing to pick out of that, though, when I say there's no consistencies, the team is quite interesting. The team at DICE are overseeing it. Now, this is a little nugget which might give you a little bit of hope that this single player is going to be really good.
Okay.
Now, it's looked after by the guy who's been overseeing the multiplayer in Battlefield 3 and previous Battlefield games.
Right.
A very smart guy called Lars Gustafsson. Now the fact that he's overseeing the story, he's overseeing the entire game, but he's overseeing the single player story. That's a big focus for them. I think, given his multiplayer sensibilities, he knows what makes Battlefield great in multiplayer. If he can bring those sort of moments and those sort of theories as to what makes the multiplayer good to single player, it could be in for something really, really special.
Oh, well, fantastic. Well, that wraps us up for this week's show. Thanks for being in touch on our Twitter address at Battle Recon. As ever, please send us your links and videos and feedback for the show. Please like and subscribe to the video. It really helps us out. And we'll be back next week with even more amazing news, screens and analysis from the world of Battlefield 4.